Emperor from the snares of the heretic, the mutant, the Xeno, and the warp spawn. In you we place all our faith. In you we find refuge. In you we find our avenger. Lead us forth into legions of humanity's foes. With thy spirit and give us the courage and capability to slay the foes in every battle we are compelled to fight, where they last until the end of time.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Conventual Warfare. Episode number... that's a bit too loud there. Episode number 7. Just so that you know, we have one more left after this one. So, nothing's gonna happen, everything's gonna be fine. Oh, crap, no, yes. Okay, one second. I have a thing. Here it is. So... Via Patreon, we have a someone who has upped their Patreon game and has made an intro for me to read. So I have an intro read for today. He specifically said, "Can I do more than one?" And I said, "Yeah, probably every now and then." And he said, "Okay, cool. I'll start nice and get worse." So this is the first one. There may be worse ones coming. I'm a little bit scared. Hey there, sheepdoggers, and welcome to Conventual Warfare, a Warhammer 40k show brought to you by The Wandering Inn. With our cast of sisters, a heresy-sniffing dog, a cornet initiate, a dialogus with noble-induced PTSD, and our tea-loving commander, with all the problems on her plate. If you like this and want to see more, please visit the Patreon, subscribe on YouTube, and be on the lookout for merch coming down the line, which I swear it is. It is, I swear. That I added that was an ad-lib. And check out the channels and X's of our cast, which will be in the link down below. Thank you very much, The Blind Watchman, for that intro read. It was quite nice. Very wonderful description of the sisters. And thank you for not having me say anything embarrassing. The best I can really hope for. It is much appreciated. Obviously, as was stated in that lovely intro, and you know what's great about it? I don't have to try and think up what I am supposed to say for the intro. I just read off a script. Maybe I should have been doing that the whole time, who knows? But yes, we, there is the Patreon. If you would like to see more shows, we are getting closer to a second show. The patron is almost supporting paying a second cast, so, you know, if you push it, you'll make me do 2 shows a week, and that will be a whole load of fun for me. Oh wait, is there no sound for the cast? Okay, that's fine, don't panic. I think it's the audio on Discord. I think it's going through the wrong... Why is it doing that?
There you go, damned man.
Yep, there you go. It is now. It is now working. The cast sound is now working. For some reason,
Yay.
it was putting the Zoom audio through my chat mic. So I'm not sure what that's about.
Nice.
That doesn't work. Anyway, yes, there is the Patreon. Go check it out and force me to make 2 shows a week. I'll be fine. And obviously X and Discord if you want to be notified when go live. Merch is coming, I swear. I'm still working on it, but it is looking quite good. The one thing I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt is there will be a pint glass with the Wandering Inn like beer logo thing. It looks really cool. And there was something else I needed to touch on. Oh god, I'm not going to remember it now. Yes. There may be a break. We're still figuring out the scheduling for the next show that's coming up. What I can tell you is that show name is going to be Berserker. So we may have a week gap between the end of this show and the start of the next show. We're just figuring out schedules and stuff. So I'll keep you updated. Again, Discord, Twitter. So if you want to know, then that's there. Oh, yes, I do remember. If at any point during the show, as you're watching live, you want to pose a question to me or any of the cast to be read out at the end of the show, feel free to drop a super chat. Those also go towards production costs and cast pay and everything. So, essentially, that is an option as well. Especially if you don't want to, submit to a monthly fee like Patreon or anything like that as support. You can just throw down whatever you want and throw a question out at us. So feel free for that. Now's the point where I ask Syrinx if I missed anything.
No, sir.
Wonderful. Shall we get back to what has been going on in the Order of Pure Intent? Our lovely sisters who surprisingly have a little bit of heresy going on, a little bit of crime and punishment, the crime being a lapse of judgment, the punishment being charging strapped to a machine into death. And yeah, I mean, aside from that, there's not too much been going on. A planetary invasion, chaos forces sieging the convent, a flood of administrative problems for the commander. Yeah, this will be good. So, last time we had the beginning of the invasion on the planet, and the 1 second here. There we go. Yes, the sisters had to adjust to the fact that the Inquisitor had decided to essentially bail on them, cancel their reinforcements to the planet, which was much needed, and essentially they were preparing to hopefully use the remaining few transport ships to escort or to evacuate the civilians off the planet while holding the line. Unfortunately, that didn't go exactly as planned, as the first transport ship to be repaired and refitted took off into space, headed off towards friendly Imperial space, and was blown up by Imperial patrol ships, basically implying that there is a bit of a restriction on anything coming through that way. So may be difficult in the future to evacuate, especially considering that one of the Sister Superiors, in a momentary lapse of judgment, let some refugees in who said, "Hey, please, we're being shot at by our allies. I mean, by chaos, and we desperately need cover inside the fortress." They were let in and then blew up the transport ships, which has left only one, which still needs repairs and to be refitted. So that's going to be a little bit of an issue. Currently speaking, we are the sisters are presented with a situation where they have, I believe it was around the number of 180, maybe 200 sisters of battle, sistering the walls and essentially defending from the forces of chaos which are besieging the convent now. The rest of the planet is mostly cleared out in the surrounds, kind of the more rural areas, the towns and everything. And all of the civilians have either fled to the convent, to other kind of isolated fortress areas that have been prepared, or to the hives. The hives and any other places like the convent that are fairly isolated and fortified have now been surrounded by chaos and are in the process of being sieged or fighting battles. The benefit you have is you do have the Cardinal with you. You have managed to pick up a reasonable number of guardsmen and some PDF as well to bolster your forces. And you have sufficient supplies to last you for a fairly long while. I will say as well, seeing as that the siege has been going on for a little bit of time at this point, I would say I'm not sure whether Sister Rose would be aware, but I definitely think that the Canoness Commander and Lilith, Dialogus Lilith, would have an idea of this. The casualties you're taking are minimal. It's like a kind of slow bleed, as it were. And the drain on your ammunition and food reserves are not as bad as you were worried it might be. Essentially, for the most part, at the point we're coming back in on, which I would say we're rejoining the Sisters maybe a week after the Siege Engine event. You've had some deaths, a fair amount of wounded, and a very limited exchange of fire, especially during the day. Generally, the Chaos forces attack during the day, and then there's like intermittent sharpshooter fire and just occasional exchanges around the walls at night. So the ammunition stores are good, and you didn't really have too many civilians and additional forces come to here, so you haven't used up too much ammunition either, or food. So, let us. Yes. We will join in. Yes, we will fade into nighttime just outside of the fortress walls. Sister Superior Rose, you have slipped out with a couple of the Imperial Guardsmen who have joined in. They were from the Second Kurland Engineers, and luckily, although you do have your own supplies, they did bring some explosives with them, some det packs, along with some knowledge, some expertise of setting explosives. Essentially, your mission, your goal here is to creep forward and set some explosives in a couple of areas to collapse some tunneling that's going on. Essentially, the engineers have managed to locate a position where the Chaos Forces are trying to tunnel under your walls to either collapse them, create a space, or to emerge from within the compound and have an easier time of attacking. So, in this instance, you're there for essentially the Sisters are in charge, and they're there to actually set the detonators and explode the things. As things stand, you've got a bit of a no man's land between the walls and the trenches, and you've got a decent amount of just general savanna, desert, rockery around the place. So, along with the fact that it's nighttime and the moon is not out tonight, you decided to pull the trigger on the operation and essentially creep out, use the cover of darkness, set them to explode. So, crouched behind a reasonably large boulder with two men from the second, I believe it's Erland, second Kurland engineers. You have noted that because the exchanges at night are mostly sharpshooters and very intermittent, there is a lot less activity at night. You don't need to worry as much about patrols. However, you have seen a few patrols going up and down in this area and, other areas. So you'll have to be reasonably cautious. And one of the engineers says, Sister, we need to move up around 100, maybe 200 yards to place the charges.
Understood. Do we have eyes on any patrols?
We do have a lookout on top of the walls. However, it is quite difficult within the debris around the area to spot the patrols. He will...
Are you making excuses for him?
No, sister.
Is he a bat?
No, sister.
Is he that blind?
No, sister.
Then get someone up there that can do his job better.
Right away, sister. And immediately turns around and gets on the radio. You hear this kind of like Soto voice, like, Kurlander. Yeah. Find someone else, yeah. And within maybe about a minute, 2 minutes, the engineer turns around and kind of gives a nod of recognition. And you are also patched into the radio for the engineers currently, because obviously you're operating with them. So,
She knows.
Yeah.
She wanted to purposely say that over the radio so everyone heard it.
And as he makes the signal, the engineer comes over the radio, the lookout, and says, I have eyes on one patrol that is currently static, close to the second detonation site. The first detonation site is all clear of enemy patrols or eyes.
Understood. We will set charges on the first site. Then we will convene back here. And then we will have to see where the patrol is for the second site.
The first engineer who you admonished nods his head. The second one who's with you says, please lead the way, Sister Superior.
All right. What would I have to roll to be super sneaky?
Let's have a look here. Sister Rose.
That's me.
I would say
Wait, there is a stealth right there.
stealth would be the main one. I would, to a degree, accept either survival or cunning, but that would need to be a bit more successful, probably, just purely because it's not directly stealth.
I will roll for stealth.
Okay, a success.
Excellent.
I would say that given the situation of it being dark enough and the minimal presence of enemies, this is enough to essentially lead the way without any incidents, kind of snaking through in between, trying to stick to the darker shadows of the debris. Like, there's a fair number of, like, either head height or higher boulders and broken rocks and just, general flora. Flora. You manage to get to the first detonation site with no inclinations that anyone's seen you or any raised alarms or anything. And immediately, as soon as you get there, both of the engineers delve into their packs and start pulling out a few kind of like det packs. Just for anyone who doesn't know, essentially is TNT for the most, for the most part. Sorry,
explosions.
yeah, it's not TNT. It's like C4.
It blows stuff up.
Yeah. And they start essentially moving in tandem to different spots to place down their det packs and charge them. The control for the det packs will be on you, so you essentially will dictate when the explosions happen. But yes, they are set. They both give a signal that the packs are set and they're ready to move on to the next one.
All right, so after we place the charges for the first one, we will reconvene, like Sereth has said, and then she will go on comms. I want a report of where the static patrol is now.
Yes, sister. The static patrol has moved away for a total of 5 minutes and then returned. This might be a pattern they are repeating. It appears to be that they are guarding the general area that they are in.
You're saying this whole entire time that we've gone and planted charges, you've only been able to witness a brief 5 minutes of their absence, and then the return?
Yes, sister.
I see the Emperor did not grace me with competence.
Was that over?
Understood.
Was that over the radio or?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Understood. Keep your eyes open. I want to be alerted if they decide to change their course in their patrol. Understood?
Yes, sister. There appear to be 3 of them, and they are reasonably lax on guard, so it should.
Of course they are. Heresy is never careful. And then I will direct my covert group to Site 2 to plant charges.
So you move up towards Site 2. I'm going to carry on, unless you'd like to attempt a new roll. But I would say, essentially, with a dice pool of 4, you may not want to risk rolling a 0, basically. No. Down to you. If you'd like to... What I would say is, based off your earlier roll, the stealth roll, it'll see you to a certain point. Okay. Where you can at least observe them yourself in this kind of like low dark light. Sorry, in the very limited light that exists.
How many are in the patrol?
It appears to be 3, and they're not so much of a patrol as they appear to be standing guard among the debris. Possibly just they're a forward. Essentially like an observation post, almost. They are mostly together in the sense that they are within vague viewing of each other, but they are kind of wandering around the area in a very, let's call it a relaxed way. Like, they're not guns up, lights on, searching or anything.
Okay. I will direct my group to Site 2, and I would like to keep watch from my angle and see if I can't spot the one static group that kind of like reports or like basically patrols to Site 2 and then waits for 5 minutes and then comes back.
Okay.
Because I would like to kill them silently.
Right. So the I would say probably you're observing them for a good like 20, maybe even 30 minutes. Could you please roll me either an awareness, an investigation, or I think stealth survival would also both work, but you'd get different things from those ones.
Okay. I'm gonna roll stealth because I think that's the higher one I have compared to awareness and
Awareness is
insight.
Insight's reasonably low.
And survival. Well, survival's the same, but
Yeah.
I go.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
That's 3 successes and 2
Let's
sixes, no less. I think this is enough to proceed without the need for more rolls. You are able to essentially creep up closer to where you can hear like snatches of their conversation and also observe them to the point to really get their routine down pat. It is quite lackadaisical. They don't have a set patrol route precisely. Essentially, they are wandering back and forth, occasionally moving away as a group to the essentially towards the trenches, and then moving back. The indication here, and based off your military knowledge, is they are reporting in maybe every 30 minutes, which either gives you a 30-minute window when they get back of they won't be missed, or a 5-minute window to set up the debt charges if you want to kind of like...
I want them to set up... I'm going to split off from them, and I want them to set off the debt charges. And I want to prepare for the patrol group to start coming over to Site 2, where they're setting up the charges. And I would like to dismiss them from their life.
Question. When you say set off the charges, do you mean...
Oh, sorry, I mean set up. Because I have the...
Okay.
I would like to... I would like them to set up the charges as I dismiss some miscreants.
Right. And you want to do that while they're patrolling or while they're away?
No, while they're coming back. Because like
while they're coming back,
you
okay.
said that they're coming back, and then they're doing 30 minutes or whatever, and then they're going back, and then they're reporting, and so right when they come in, I would like to would like to dispatch my combat knife into their jugular or vital arteries.
Okay. In that case, as they move off the next time to go to report in to wherever they're reporting in the trenches, both you and the engineers slowly creep forward. There's a little bit of crawling needing to be done just where there's minimal cover available, and they both set up in position to start setting up the debt charges. As that is happening, you kind of snake away and like ease off behind into a boulder, like a fairly large rock that is providing a nice decent bit of cover overlooking the area. As you hear after a little bit of time, you hear the crunch of footsteps and low murmuring of board guards who are coming back, Isn't chaos great? Yeah, chaos is wonderful. Don't you hate sisters? Yeah, sisters are the worst. I hope they don't have some commander person who just drinks tea all the time and complains about paperwork. Yeah, that would be the worst. Man, these guys are assholes, right? And essentially, as they get closer, they move past the cover that you are behind. And you hear, you hear one of them essentially say, "Do you see that? I think I saw something move." And it appears that they have maybe seen one of the engineers. Maybe it was just a shadow moving the wrong way. But you hear them kind of like tense up a little bit and move forward past you towards the area to do a sweep of the area.
Perfect.
Seeing
the straggler of the three.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming they're not like, all lined up. I'm assuming they're not like in a line either. They're kind of like in a maybe like a triangle kind of formation or whatnot. I'm going to take the one that's farthest away and I'm going to go ahead and cover his mouth and stab him right in the jugular.
Could you please roll me a weapon skill?
I knew you were going to have me do that.
Oh damn, 4. Okay. You are also, could you roll me, like 2 more d6, please? Just purely because of your previous rolls and the fact that it's nighttime and they're distracted. It affords you a fair amount of dice on this. That's another 6. Yeah, okay, so that's 5 successes, 2 sixes. This is not the first time you have done slightly more clandestine knife work. Obviously, your preference is for a good old chainsword or something like that, proper motor going, but, it's not really... I mean, you could probably do it, but it would kind of be a bit noisy with the engine and everything.
The Emperor graced me with skilled hands when I was a child, and gifted me a combat knife when I was young.
Oh, yes. And that allows you to, as these three kind of move forward, they spread out a little bit, trying to cover as much ground as possible. As they start moving, you see one of them, like, is just a little bit behind the others, out of their peripheral vision, and you slip out of cover, you move towards them, and a hand goes over the mouth at the same time that the knife severs the spine. He goes immediately from walking alive to essentially a ragdoll in your arms, and you just lay him down gently and move forward towards the other two. What do you do next?
I whisper in his ear. Emperor, take mercy upon your wretched soul.
And the other two?
And then I release him. And remember faintly and fondly of the time I carved a perfect replica of the Emperor's throne out of somebody's pelvis bone.
Specifically pelvis bone, okay. The Emperor was indeed honored that day.
And then I will proceed to dispatch my combat knife into the rest.
Yep. Again, with those rolls, absolutely. You move quietly and quickly towards the other two, and if you'll allow me a little bit of a flourish here.
Of course.
We see from the front, the camera shifts to the front of the guards as they are slowly moving forward, kind of on guard, but not on guard for behind them, as the shadow of you kind of rises up behind one of them, and you just see this like slight gleam of a knife as it's shoved into the side of the neck of one of them, at the same time as he's grabbed around the face. And within a half second, maybe a second, your arm like flies out with the knife and goes directly into the neck of the other one. You hear like a slight gurgling sound and a kind of like thud as the other body hits the floor, as the traitor, the chaos worshipper in your arms bleeds out everywhere, and you let him gently onto the floor. Both of them having been dispatched.
As I lay them gently onto the floor, I proceed to spit on them.
Absolutely. And then return to the engineers.
Job's done. I will alert on the radio comms. I will go. Patrol for Site 2 has been dispatched permanently. Where are we with the setup of the charges?
Confirm, sister. Charges have been set and are ready to be detonated once we have cleared the area. No sign of further patrols.
You have exactly 10 seconds to evacuate that area before I decide to blow it up. Over and out. And then I leave. Like, I don't even meet up with them. They did their job.
Okay. Probably around about 10 seconds later, the Canoness commander, standing at her window looking out over the battlefield, sees two blooms of beautiful explosions lighting the night sky as the tunnel that had been attempting to tunnel under your walls is collapsed. The heretics inside digging are killed, and another threat to the convent has been eliminated.
Long live the Emperor. That's what I will say over the radio. to the Canoness commander.
She just nods approvingly as she's watching this and smiling from her window.
Off on the walls, the observer, the lookout, turns to one of his engineer friends and just goes, "Maybe we would have been safer just dying in one of the hives." The sisters don't do anything by half.
Nope.
Okay. Over in the, it would be I would say it's probably the aid station. There is a number of hospitallers who are working on different injured sisters and guardsmen and PDF. I already just saw your name.
Heresy sniffing dog Calliades Prixera at your service.
I almost said it out loud. I was like, yeah, my brain's going to apothecary. Hospitaller. You are currently working on a sister who was in the most recent firefight. You've been working on her for maybe about an hour. The problem is that multiple bullets have perforated her torso, her organs, and you have been fighting an uphill battle to stabilize her and to stop internal bleeding. You are elbow deep in blood, and just essentially the operating table is awash with, previous patients and this patient herself. As you're working, as you're trying to stabilize her, you're feeling more and more that it is a losing battle, that essentially there is too much damage and you can't find it all. The internal bleeding is not heavy, but it is consistent, and you have not found, you suspect you haven't found all of the internal hemorrhaging. As this goes on, there's a point where the sister herself reaches up and like grabs your hand with, like your
Oh shit, she's conscious for this. Holy fuck.
she wasn't the whole time. She was brought in unconscious, but she apparently has
Alright.
regained consciousness.
Tommy!
And she grabs your hand, which obviously, your medical gear, the scalpels, etc., all that type of thing. And she looks up at you and she says, "Hospitaller, I can feel myself. I'm fading. Just patch me up enough to get back to the battlefield. Just get me back onto the wall, and at least I can die fighting."
Of course, the Emperor shall be with you until the end, sister. I'll get you on the battlefield.
Thank you. I want to at least die fighting. And as she says that, like a little kind of sigh of breath escapes her mouth. Her eyes flutter very slightly, and the grip lessens and falls away. What she had left of not really her spirit, or her will, but her body just essentially gave out. And she passes away.
Alright. I think that's the point where LS3 stops for a second, knowing that the sister before her just died. And I guess there's like a kind of a disappointment in herself, like, where you beat yourself up, because it's like for a moment there she thinks, what if I could have actually given her like the chance to at least go out there again? Like, what if her body hadn't failed her so quickly? It's like a frustration of essentially a frustration of the human body, where it's like you had the spirit to do so much.
Yeah.
You had the spirit to go further, but essentially you were stopped by your body. And in a way, in this weird moment, Helestri blames herself for that for a second. But then again, she doesn't have a lot of time to think about that right now, because there's a lot of other people who might still get the chance to go onto the battlefield. So I think she'll instruct someone else to... I don't think there is a way to... Yeah, she died. I don't think there's a way that she can still make her of use. So I think she'll just instruct someone else to bring the body somewhere else for now, so that they have space for someone new, someone they might still be able to help.
One of the Imperial Guard medicaes, a surgeon. You have kind of got to know him. I don't think you've actually even exchanged names or anything. It's surgeon, it's hospitaller.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where quite often you're so busy that it never occurs to you to be like, "Oh, hi, I'm Helestri," or anything like that. He walks over and says, "Hospitaller, we appear to have cleared the majority of critical cases. If you'd like to step away for a while, we can probably handle things here until day breaks again."
I won't be gone long, but I will leave it in your hands for the moment.
Go get some recaf and a little bit of sleep before the next influx comes.
I trust that if I would need sleep, the Emperor will make sure I have some.
Quite.
And with that, she just gives a serene smile and she leaves to walk off, taking off any of the really bloodied gear that she can while she does. I think she gives a small glance at the room, now less busy than before, but still filled with sisters who are not in dire needs, but who need to be patched up, and some who may never fully recover probably from their wounds. And I think she dispatches her gear and walks off into the convent. The ever lingering thought there of like, this battle could be so much easier. And I think there's like a still a little bit of like, oh, but I know it's not right. I know it's heretical, and it's not something that should be pursued, because if it was meant to be, then the Emperor would have already made it so. If the sisters had to be another way, the Emperor would have surely already made sure that they were. But then there's like, hearing the stuff from back there in the medical room, she can't think of like, but maybe I can do this, and surely if the Emperor would not approve of it, he will stop it. Surely there is something I can try to do, and if it's not what the Emperor wills, then I'll have a sign. Maybe the Mechanicus was onto something.
Okay. As you walk slowly into the halls of the convent, the camera fades out and fades back in as a serious looking commissar in full official commissariat regalia, I think is how you would say it. That was an alarm, don't worry about it.
Wake up, Sheepy, it's time for the show.
He walks up to a door, and Lilith, you hear a knocking at the door at your quarters. Essentially, you have been doing your shifts on the wall, leading a squad of sisters. At this point, the need for a dialogus is a bit more minimal. Currently, you are, I guess you'd say, on break at best. You know, essentially, it's not time for your shift on the wall.
Come in.
The door swings open, and you are presented with... you've had a fair amount of contact with commissars. Generally, they are overly serious, overly pious, and tendency to extreme discipline. Essentially, if you know anything about... World War II, the Soviet forces, commissars and that, very similar to commissars in 40k, except for, I'd say they were a bit nicer in Soviet World War II. The commissars in 40k are very unforgiving. Bit of a thunderous face. He never seems to have it doesn't seem to have space for a smile. And he takes position essentially just inside the door with his hands behind his back in kind of a that chest out, like at attention but not quite at attention, and says, Dialogus, I have come to request your assistance in a reasonably delicate matter. I was hoping you could help me investigate an incident that's happened with one of the PDF.
What sort of incident?
One of your sister superiors, Arcacid, has accused one of the PDF NCOs of cowardice.
I have not heard of this.
It is something that occurred during the battle this afternoon. I was hesitant to oversee the incident purely by myself, as it involves one of your order. While it is within my purview to execute justice as I see fit, I am appreciative of the order's housing me and of the Canoness commander's willingness to work with us. I wanted to extend the courtesy of having you there to interview your own.
I will follow where you lead if you are interviewing now.
And his heels click together and he says, I am headed over there now. Your help would be much appreciated. And he turns and leads you out and down. There's a few like kind of holding cells, kind of. Essentially, they used to be places to hold prisoners and etc. The rooms themselves aren't like bar cells; they're like a wall, a door, and etc. So he leads you to one of the doors and says, "Your sister superior Arcacid is in there. I will go and interrogate the sergeant in question. If you finish with your interrogation before me, please do do not hesitate.
I will come find you.
I will be in the interrogation room next to you." And he moves off, and one of the guards in the kind of room next to where you are opens the door, and he walks in. You hear kind of like a kind of muffled like
Sister Arcatred?
Arcacid.
Arcacid.
AKARCID.
I will open the door.
As you open the door, the guard opens the door for you and you can walk in. You see sitting at kind of like a very barren room with just a metal chair and metal table, Sister Superior Arcacid. You think you've seen her around. You haven't had too much interactions with her, but a lot of the time you haven't been here until very recently. You've been off with the Imperial Guard, organizing everything and sending reports back. She sits up and says, Dialogus Advance. Are you here to release me?
I'm here for answers, sister.
Of course. What do you need to know?
Start from the beginning.
Yes, Dialogus. I was leading a squad of sisters to strike a set of mortars just close to the enemy trench line. The idea was to use a brief lull in the battlefield to strike out and deal with the mortars solely. In and out as quick as possible, and another threat to the inside of the convent walls would be eliminated. I was backed up by Sergeant Colgut and his PDF troopers. They were supposed to provide covering fire and to back us up if needed on the radio. I executed my orders, moved forward to assault, and successfully disabled or destroyed the array of mortars. However, we came under heavy suppressive fire from the trench line and had difficulty moving into position to execute the orders. I radioed to Sergeant Colgut to not only provide covering fire, but to move up into a better position whereby he could support my assault. I received no reply, and after losing 2 additional sisters in the push, once I returned, he claimed that there was no radio call and he did not hear my request for support. At that point, I informed him that he was a coward and that he intentionally stayed away from the battlefield, and I struck him and arrested him.
It sounds like you were doing our sisters good. Any other important information that you feel is needed? Have you worked with... I can't remember his name.
Sergeant Colgut.
Oh, God. Write it down so it didn't stick.
There has been no collaboration between us before, and I would like to add that the 2 sisters we lost, in addition, were unnecessary casualties. Had Sergeant Colgut supported us, we would not have sustained them. And I feel that a loss of 2 of our order at this point in the war is worse than the loss of Sergeant Colgut's entire squad.
May they be with the Emperor.
I'm sure they are.
Well, thank you for your information. I will do what is needed with it. For now, please remain here. And I will click my heels and turn around.
Thank you, Dialogus. I shall wait your judgment.
And do I still hear talking next door as the door closes in front of me?
Yeah, a little bit muffled and occasionally raised.
And do I know anything about Korgut or who is supposed to be helping our sisters at all?
So, essentially, after the Chaos Forces were discovered as being on the way to the convent, the Canoness sent out your flyers as much as possible to just scout the surrounding area, find any remnants Imperial forces to bring back to the convent as like bolster armed forces. In general, the Imperial Guard that you brought back are reasonably competent for the most part. You get occasional cowards, you get occasional crappy soldiers. The PDF are just kind of shit. They're not properly trained. They are just a planetary defense force, and I would say more and more all of the sisters, and probably the Imperial Guard as well, feel like they can even sometimes be a detriment because they just kind of get in the way and they don't. It's very possible the plan for that attack was to use the PDF as a essentially distraction or expendable force. Having said that, like Sister Superior Arcacid is not wrong when she says losing a couple of sisters is worse than losing an entire squad of the PDF. Like, the sisters are demonstrably better.
Would I know protocol-wise if I could just walk in there into the middle of their interrogation, or would I know that would...
I would say that, you know what? Let's have you give me a roll. Why not? An investigation would make sense. Let me just see what your I'm not sure I put it at,
Investigation's at, a 1.
That should be
so
higher.
I get 4.
So that should be, I would say, probably a 3. It's a lot of what you do, so you know.
Yeah.
3 successes. Okay. In general, in this type of situation, you entering the room would probably impede the commissar in his investigation. You're essentially, to the PDF's eyes, you are not just a threat. Like, the commissar is always going to be a threat to basically everyone, because their job is to execute traitors, cowards, like keep discipline, raise morale when possible. But they do have a tendency to shoot their own troops when they disobey or when they retreat, etc.
Okay.
However, very specifically, this guy was accused by a sister. If he now knows that the commissar has brought a sister in, it takes a bit of the fear away from the commissar and presents him more of an enemy, which would
Which is not what we want.
it would possibly limit what he can get out of the sergeant.
Okay. So I will stand and wait patiently. If there's no other way I can get any information, do we have battle logs or anything? Like, we have logs of radio communication?
You have logs of radio communication. There's no way to. You can like tell that the radio has been sent. You can't tell if someone received it. So.
Not that I don't trust the sister, because as you've said, all of the knowledge. Can I just check the logs just to check to see if it did get sent?
Yeah, sure. Doesn't take too long. And you have a bit of time until the commissar will be coming out, most likely. He's more in interrogation mode than you. You were basically like, "What is your report?" Okay, I believe you. Anyway.
Basically.
Yeah. Which is fair enough.
Sister over
a stupid PDF, yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is something so simple that there's no need for a roll or anything. I could even go off your investigation roll there, to be honest. Essentially, yeah, like there's a definitive receive from the convent of the Sister Superior's call for, like, all of her radio logs that she talked about. They're all there. They're all sent out. So, unless the sergeant had a malfunction, which is not in the report from either of them, he's purely said that he never received it. He didn't say anything about faulty equipment.
Faulty equipment. He just wasn't paying attention.
Yeah. I would say probably not long, maybe like 10 minutes or so after you've returned, the door swings open again and the commissar steps out, looks around for a second, sees you, and walks over to make a beeline to you. Once he gets over to you, he says, I have finished my interrogation. I'm curious as to what you have found.
I have found that it does seem that PDF Corgut did maybe not receive, not quite sure, but our sisters acted in integrity and strength as sisters do on the battlefield.
This is also my conclusion after my interrogation. It appears that Sergeant Colgott has failed in his duty to the Emperor and has unfortunately fallen to cowardice, if not heresy.
And lost sisters' lives in the process.
Which is almost as inexcusable.
This we agree on.
Given this is the situation, I would like to extend, as a member of the Commissariat who is in charge of some of the PDF on the planet, my apologies for the lapse. And his hand goes to his side and he pulls out his bolt pistol and proffers it forward to you. proffers it forwarded to you like handle first, like grip first, and says, I would like to offer to you the opportunity to carry out the summary execution of Sergeant Calliades yourself.
Thank you. And I'll take the pistol without another word and walk to the door.
If I may embellish a little bit here.
Yeah.
Dialogus Lilith takes the pistol, holds it down by her side, and walks over to the door containing Sergeant Calliades. Oh, no, sorry, that is the, Colgut.
PDF Corgut, yeah.
The guard immediately opens it up. The sister, the Dialogus, merely raises her arm, and there is a report of as she doesn't even walk in the room.
Nope.
Her arm falls down to her side. She walks back over to the commissar and places the bolt pistol back in his outstretched hand. My thanks for your assistance, Dialogus.
Thank you for informing us.
And his heels click. He gives the signs of the Aquila and says, I feel the need to look over my remaining PDF troopers I'm in charge of, make sure there are no more cowards or heretics within. You can never tell when extreme situations push a soldier. Sometimes they act in ways you would not expect.
That would be highly recommended, as we will not deal with this again.
And he nods and then turns around and walks away.
Then I'm going to notify the guard to also open the sister's door and let her return to her duties.
She clicks her heels and salutes and says, my thanks, Dialogus.
The Emperor wills it.
Indeed. I will return to my squad.
Go in the light.
And she hurries off to rejoin her squad and rejoin the fight. And we switch over to Canoness Commander Minerva. You are currently staring at a scarred, kind of grumpy looking sergeant. This time not from the PDF, luckily. Oh, sorry, no, they are not a sergeant, are they? They are... Oh, I'm sorry. She is a lieutenant. Lieutenant Velvek of the 2nd Kurland Engineers, the one who was liaison to you. Been here for a while. She has come with she's essentially the representative for the remnants of the Imperial Guard in general. And she is saying, Canoness Commander, my apologies for this request. However, the NCOs that are left of our Imperial Guard regiments felt that it was a worthwhile request to put to you. We cannot help noticing that you have a finite number of sisters arrayed for battle. And as this battle continues, we are all taking casualties, obviously. We were hoping that, given... And she pauses and kind of steadies her body a little bit, almost like she's kind of,
Scared to ask. Just
yes.
Spit it out. Spit it out, Lieutenant. No.
She says, we would like to put in a request for the spare bolt guns from fallen sisters to be disseminated among the guards that are still active. The firepower is useful, and they would not be used otherwise. My apologies for such a suggestion. It is only made in the necessity of a extreme dire situation.
She thinks about this for a moment. This is not something we typically do, as you know.
I am aware.
However, we are in a dire situation. I suppose we can offer up some of our bolters and other weapons that have been left behind in order to arm what remains of your forces.
My thanks, Commander. If you deem it necessary, the soldiers, guardsmen, have agreed that they would be willing to be folded into your forces to be led by a sister superior or squad leader of your designation.
Yes, I think that might be worthwhile to have them folded in. I assume there's not many left.
There are enough for us to hold firm and to support the convent until the last moment.
All right then. Yes, fold into one of our units. And we have to perform a few things before just handing over the rest of our weapons. But I will make sure that gets sent over to you as soon as we can.
My thanks, Commander. And she, waits to be dismissed?
She nods, Minerva nods, and she just turns. She doesn't say anything.
And the lieutenant kind of turns away to leave and then stops for a second and turns back and says, Commander, if I may.
Yes, Lieutenant.
I understand the situation is very dire. I just wanted to make it clear that myself and the other Imperial Guard regiments consider that of all the possibilities of death on this world, dying to protect such a magnificent and holy place as this is a choice we would all have made, regardless of the options.
Your words are appreciated, Lieutenant. I am glad to know that you all feel that way. You are protecting something that is of great importance. And I thank you for your service and your help in all of this matters.
Yes, Commander. And then she turns to leave. And the door closes as she walks out.
The Canoness kind of takes a sigh. I feel like she, in these past months, has taken more of a no-nonsense tone about things and has become more... I'm trying to think of the right word. Just strict, hardened, not as personable, and just, down to business, and just very jaded and tired by the situation.
I think, if I may, it seemed to start around about when she ordered the death of the PDF commander.
Yeah.
That seemed to be the turning point of like you guys suck. Why did you start this fight? Why did you fire into the crowd? Kill that guy and let's just attack. And I would imagine the death of the Underhive was probably a pretty significant choice as well.
It was a big moment. Yeah, like all of this work and the things that we were trying to do for this planet, and it just feels like it's going to nothing now. That it's completely war torn now. It's just a lot of conflicting feelings and resentment. So yeah.
Okay. I would say at this point would be a good moment for a couple of reports to come across to be presented to the Canis Commander. So I would imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sister Superior Rose, you'd probably be coming back to report your success. And
Yes, I would.
I got to view from my window.
yes.
So
Most likely also the Dialogus Advance would be coming to report that situation as well. Which provides me with the perfect opportunity to go to the toilet if you want to. I'll set it up for you. Essentially, what I'll say is, most likely, Sister Superior Rose, you will enter first. So the Sister Superior Rose enters the office, salutes and stands to attention. Dialogus, when you feel appropriate, feel free to join in to give your report. But there you go. I'll be back momentarily.
Sister Superior, I saw the explosions from the window, so I trust that everything went well.
Yes, Canoness Commander. Everything is as it should be. Heresy has been brought to its knee, and we shouldn't worry about any moles tunneling under us.
Excellent. That is good to hear. At least for the time being, we have things more under control. But we should still be... We should obviously keep alert to the additional
Do not worry,
forces.
Canoness Commander. Myself, most of all, along with the rest of my squad, will be ever vigilant against any treachery, debauchery, or heresy. We will root it out and purge it in the name of the Emperor.
I have no doubt, Sister Superior, and I know that we will not have any other incidents occurring in the convent as they did previously.
And that there's a knock at the door.
Dialogus. Lilith,
Canoness?
how have things been?
Just dealing with a little bit of cowardice.
Oh. What do you have to report?
PDF Corgut, who is no longer with us. Abandoning not hearing one of our sisters' calls for support and backup, which cost us 2 sisters. An unnecessary loss.
Unnecessary insolence.
Indeed. Did you punish those that committed such treason against our sisters?
Yes.
Good work. And what of the sister that was looking for the assistance?
She's gone back to duty.
Good. Well, unsurprising that the PDF was not capable of helping, and it cost more than he knows. I'm glad to hear that he was dealt with.
Cowardice.
Yes.
What of his squad? I left them. Should have they also paid the same price?
Perhaps we send his squad in to the front lines then, to deal with the next immediate threats.
That can be done.
expendable, as they seem to think that our years of vigorous training in this convent is worth less, I should say, than what they are going through. Yes, we'll send them in first, have them deal with our next wave. In the meantime, I've also had to make the decision to supply whatever leftover bolters and weapons that we have to go with what remains of the, I believe it's the guardsmen or whomever, who remains of the guardsmen.
The Imperial Guard, yeah.
The Imperial Guard left on this planet. There's not many left, and so I've requested that they fold into our units. They at least are more capable than the PDF. They're a slight tier above, but not at our level. So
It's a shame such a shepherd of simple-minded sheep can ruin the whole flock.
Indeed. Anything else to report? Any other news coming in?
None at the moment, Canoness Commander. I assume Sister Halestri is busy on her work.
Yes, there are many wounded still.
Yes, I have yet to receive a report from her, but I trust she is working diligently, as always, for the good of the
course.
Emperor.
Of course. Well, we should keep to work then and make sure we don't have any other sieges or any other forces that come in. So let's keep diligent and keep at work. I have to also figure out what we're going to do now with our evacuation plans, as plans have now changed due to many of our ships being destroyed. So that is something else I will be working on in the meantime.
Speaking of evacuation plans, any further thought on the Magus Dialogus' lab? Have we retrieved all of the information that we need from there?
I believe it's all been transferred so that we no longer need the hard copies.
Should we destroy the lab and evidence?
Yes. As long as we have as long as we have everything transferred, I don't think there's any need to keep that lab around, and I want it destroyed.
I can see that done.
Thank you, Sister Lilith.
I will be dispatching to the front lines around the wall and the perimeter, and I will check to make sure every squad is armed and ready to the teeth.
Yes, and if any immediate danger comes up, send those PDF in. They can deal with it. So Sheepy, I've essentially said the remaining PDF that reported to the one that Sister Lilith took care of. Basically, I'm like, let's just use them as cannon fodder. So like, if there's like an immediate threat, throw them in first, since they think, since their unit. I mean, I know the main guy paid the price, but I'm like, send them in if they think we're expendable. We'll show them who's really expendable. So yeah, we'll send them in.
Like, fucked up and harsh, but I respect it, because it's the best choice, honestly. I was kind of thinking you might end up just throwing them on like latrine duty or something, just like moving bodies and like kind of grunt work, just because it's like you're so not important. Just do like okay. I will also add in that over the course of the last week and going forward, you are receiving reports from the other hives. Currently speaking, 2 of the hives have almost completely fallen to chaos. Not to chaos as in turned, although some of them have, obviously. There are currently speaking, the 4 remaining major hives are reporting they expect to be able to hold out for a couple more weeks at most. The capital has maybe a month. So with the prospects of no reinforcements, and the fact that as things have been going, you are slowly, you're not running out of ammunition, but you can see it on the horizon, like as things keep going, you are getting a good, I hate to say this, but you're getting a good KDA, like kill to death ratio is going well.
Good.
The problem is that as the other hives are falling and as chaos spreads across the planet, more of them are showing up here slowly. Warbands, roamers, trickling in, and so even as you put a dent in their forces, those are pretty much easily replaced, sometimes even doubled. So possibly one of the things that it may be a problem on morale for possibly the Imperial Guard, but the PDF definitely, and any like civilians, would be like, there is no discernible gain you are making. You are merely just holding ground, putting off the inevitable.
Since the Cardinal is still here, and we are like keeping refugees and stuff and people here, I would say, and maybe even the Canoness commander like tries to assist with this, but like having more regular like services to help the people and like try to boost morale among the people. Like we have like him speaking like daily, and like just trying to keep the people who are stuck here at the convent like feeling better.
Yeah.
Canoness commander would probably notice the lower morale and the feelings of despair as
The Cardinal just steps up to the mic and is like, "Don't worry, be happy. Do 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 do. Don't worry, be happy."
Whatever he can do to keep
Heresy. Purge.
So yes, there is essentially you also have a commissar. They're reasonably good at maintaining morale and when necessary, like summarily executing people who aren't happy. Which sometimes in the Imperial Guard is the entire Imperial Guard, but that's a whole other story. They can deal with not being happy. I would say as time goes on, it's going to be a compounding problem. For now, the fact that this is a holy site, the fact that the Cardinal is here and that the sisters are here and basically all over the convent, it's gonna take a while for it to become an actual problem. Yeah. Especially, like, there is something about seeing the Sisters of Battle fight that tends to inspire not just, like, the regular guardsmen or soldiers, but just the general populace as well. Like, yeah, There have been instances in lore where the sisters have showed up and guardsmen who are like almost dead and like bleeding out suddenly like stand up and they're like, "I can't let my waifu fight alone," and then just charge in like, "Ah!" and like just start ripping people apart,
we do have that effect.
Yes.
Let the guardsmen
We
die for
inspire
us.
confidence when there is none.
one thing I would say, and it's not necessarily something you need to go over immediately, but I am curious for the inside the Canoness commander's head, and I would say also Sister Superior Rose. You currently have one transport ship left capable of long interstellar travel.
Yeah.
I'm curious as to what the plan there is.
That's a good question. I don't know.
Okay.
No, I realize that it's a how many people can one transport fit? How many did we like get a rough estimate of how many we had, like, and we could have potentially like started getting people out versus what we have now.
So it's still in the process of being refitted, as it wasn't set up for essentially people hauling. I would say it's not so much a problem of how many people can it fit. It can probably fit a few hundred people minimum, which I would say is probably around about a quarter of the people currently here. The problem is the prospect of essentially, if you leave the planet on it with the intention of heading into Imperial space, you not only have a fair amount of time to travel, like at least a few days if you go straight in there, you're also likely going to have to avoid the Inquisitor's patrol ships and cordon, which means you're going to have to take at least an additional week or two going around and staying out of their sensor range. And that will require supplies. And any supplies you take will diminish the supplies here. We're talking majority food and water and rations, that type of thing. So if you take a quarter of the population here, and, you know, it'll mostly be civilians, I guess, pile them into the transport ship and take off and head for Imperial space, you'd have to supply all of those people with enough food to last them until they get there, which will diminish your supplies here and lessen the time that they'll be able to fight and hold out. And it also adds the possibility of even before the place ends up falling, they may like die of starvation basically, which wouldn't be ideal way for the sisters to go out.
Yeah. Damn. Okay.
I will say that you have had a conversation with Astera and Zitra where they have tried to persuade you to take a small token force of sisters, bodyguards, onto the transport ship and just evacuate the planet yourself and a couple of people.
That's what I'm thinking, and that will be the squad that I want to take in to find the Cardinal, essentially.
Yeah.
Or not the Cardinal, the Inquisitor.
The Inquisitor, yeah.
So, yes, I think I would take some of the... Yeah, I think we would just try to get that set up to leave at some point soon-ish.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I realize I would probably only take a smaller group of sisters with me. Oh my god. This is such a hard decision.
I mean, for now, you're able to hold out reasonably well, so it's not something you need to decide on immediately.
Okay.
But, yeah, I would say, and it might be something worth bringing up with your command squad, or, you know, like, at the very least, your XO.
Yeah.
Maybe the Dialogus as well, to be honest, because, but essentially, like, The problem here is this is a cardinal world. It is essentially the world itself is a holy relic. Leaving it, and probably one of the reasons why the Inquisitor was fairly confident in kind of abandoning you here, is that it's a difficult prospect to abandon a world to chaos and not fight to the last man. I would say the only mitigating factor that would like make it acceptable in your eyes is the fact that the Inquisitor, with the research he has carried out and now has, could end up doing a lot more heresy and a lot more damage than just one cardinal world going down.
Yes.
And specifically to the sisters and to other
Yes.
orders.
And that's why I'm like,
It
it needs to be stopped.
Yes, it is I would say it's the deciding factor in it being acceptable, or it having a reasonable reason to not defend the planet to the
Defend
last.
to the death.
Yeah.
And I mean, and the Sisters of Battle will probably still defend to the death. Like, that's because we're not going to take all of them with us. So, like that's, oh man, I feel is basically our whole like order gonna get like wiped out essentially from this, except like who escapes the Order of Pure Intent.
There is another 2 planets with where the order is present. You do also have the Canoness Superior, which is Canoness Superior Minerva Galatiya. So there is a structure for the order to carry on. However, I would say the majority of the other planets are at best untested in war for the most part. And the Canoness Superior, I wouldn't say you have a bad opinion of her. Obviously, because you're kind of like her second in command on the order, but she is fairly up there in years. She's quite old at this point, and it has been a long time since she's been to war. She's more of kind of like a holy figurehead kind of thing, not quite on the ranks of saints or anything, but and the majority of the other 2, let's call them convents or planets with the order on, are mostly made up of people who've never been in a fight before.
This is still like, that means it's like this is going to be a significant blow on our order, which is also really weighing on Canoness Commander Minerva. But yes, I think this is something I am going to have to let my closer knit group know that this is a decision we're going to have to make and move forward with. So at some point, maybe after whatever, the next jobs that they're on, I would call them in and let them know about our evacuation plans.
Okay. If I may ask, intention would be say around about 10 maybe sisters, pilot, crew.
Yeah, and then the rest would be civilians.
Supplies enough for a couple of weeks maybe.
So 10 of us.
Who would you leave in charge?
Man, that's a good question. Shoot. I would probably, I would discuss, I think that would, who would be the other, like, our next other canoness.
Who would be next
Or
in
not canon. Yeah.
next
not-
in line?
Superior. Yes, our other
Yeah, that.
sister superiors.
I mean, that would be Sister Superior Rose.
Yeah. I'm not thinking about it. Maybe there's somebody else we can leave in charge. I will talk with Sister Rose about that.
Okay.
Yes.
Just to temper this a little bit, like throw a little bit of seasoning on this. If there was not the situation with the Inquisitor, and obviously given, all of your individual characters, like personal thoughts and feelings, etc., like speaking in a broad sense, defending the convent to the last woman would be an extremely solid way to go out, that I think either, like, if the you most likely, even if you had the transports available, you would most likely send the civilians to evacuate and stay here until all of you died. Like, that is a very strong possibility, unless there was a solid reason to evacuate yourselves as well.
Yeah.
It is not unheard of to for the sisters to bloody-mindedly sit in their holy of holy places and be like, nope, sorry, not leaving. Like, kill us, sure, but you'll take this holy place away when you finally killed the last of us.
Yes. I do think Sister Rose would be the best person to do that. And I think she would see it as an honor. But it is nonetheless a hard decision to make.
Is this a conversation you think you'll want to have now, or do you want to leave it a little bit to, like, mull over the practicalities of...
Actually, you know what? I'll have the conversation now.
Okay. In that case, I'm assuming we still have the Dialogus and Rose, Sister Superior Rose, in the office, so we can kind of carry on from their reports to you easing into this conversation, essentially.
Yeah, rather than immediately sending the two of you off, I would... About the evacuation plans. We only have one transport ship left. So obviously, the plans have to change. I've been sitting on this and thinking about what our next course of action would be to evacuate as many civilians as possible with only one ship now, with the proper amount of rations, supplies, things needed. And I've come to the conclusion that we, as the Order of Pure Intent, must defend this planet, this cardinal planet, to the end, and purge everything and anything that exists of heretical nature on this planet. Even the Cardinal himself has decided he wants to stand by and defend this planet to the end. And we, as the Order of Pure Intent, will support that. However, I know that I keep saying the Cardinal. I know that the Inquisitor is still out there. He who caused all of this upon this planet, and he who still has plans and intentions to continue his experiments and research, could potentially target future orders of our Adepta Sororitas and other Astartes as well. He needs to be stopped. This is something we've discussed. Because of the changes, we will need to send a smaller group. I'm thinking about 10 of our sisters, myself plus 9 others, to lead these civilians out of here safely, to avoid any of the Inquisitors' patrols outside of the planet, get them to safety, and continue our mission. The rest will have to stay here and defend. The question is, who would be left in charge after all of this? Sister Superior Rose. You
Canoness Commander.
you more than anyone have shown your dedication to this cause, your vigor, your will. And with that, I would like to place you in charge of the remainder of the Order of Pure Intent, of all of the Sisters of Battle that remain on this planet. They will be in your command.
Canoness Commander. Sister. I will not fail you or the Emperor. I will continue to hold your ideals, the Emperor's ideals and values, to the highest degree. We will not fail you. And if we do, it will be on my last breath.
I know that you will stand true to this. The Emperor's light will guide your every step. And no chaos, no pain, nothing will break your spirit. And even in death, you will still serve his purpose. Dialogus Lilith, I think it would be good for you to come with me. You have the information that was in that lab. You have transferred it. You understand it. I would like you to come with me as I seek out the proper justice upon the Inquisitor. Your information, the things that you hold, would be of value to this mission.
Yes, Canoness. There's an extra. Oh, I was going to say there's an extra click and just like kind of a glance over at Sister Rose of like, yep, I know that this is our cost, but I'm like, oh, like one person that I was like, I'm just buddy with you, like fall right in step. I'm like, yep, okay. There's just that extra moment from Lilith.
Those little silent but brief glances. Caught between us.
And with that, the new plans are set. In the coming weeks, we will begin planning for the evacuation of these civilians. They've been held up in this convent long enough. But for now, we should continue our duties.
Okay. As you all head off to carry on your duties, essentially, Sister Superior Rose will be staying behind once the evacuation plan is enacted to lead the forces in a glorious last stand. The Canoness Commander, Dialogus, will be essentially... It's hard to say who has the higher mission. I'd say, honestly, they both have their importance, but the objective is to prevent further harm, not just to the Order, but to the Adepta Sororitas in general, which is a very important thing, alongside possibly rooting out some quite deep heresy within the ecclesiarchy, which is, again, a pretty big deal. At this point, we will shift perspective over to Helestry. Where did Helestry wander off to when she went into the halls of the convent?
She was planning to actually go and rest up. But as she was making her way through the hallways, at a certain point, she would have stopped, doubted, and turned to head towards the laboratory.
Okay. You find yourself heading towards the lab. Obviously, the Dialogus, yourself, Canoness Commander, have pretty much unrestricted access at this point to the lab. Why is my brain melting on this word? The servitors, there we go. The servitors standing guard don't even question your presence. Essentially, the doors are opened on your approach, and you are able to enter both the lab and the further back, more secret lab, for the want of a better description. The records of the research is something that you have been, in your spare time, coming down to slowly go through more intricately.
Yeah, and I think that's what she will do now as well. I feel like that's also part of the reason why she may have not been getting as much sleep or rest the past few weeks.
Yeah.
Because rather than deciding to rest up the entire time, she takes hours going back here and looking through the stuff more in detail, and maybe even starting to make her own side notes to certain things. And that's why she came back to, yet again, with little doubt, start putting more time in this than trying to rest.
Okay. As you go through the notes, as you go through the details of the research, essentially it is what we've discussed before. Majorly, it is attempts to affect the same procedure that happens to Astartes in the Sisters. However, running into roadblocks, running into problems with the integration and the acceptance of the gene seed of the organs, repeatedly failing.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
I think now that they have been in a pretty big battle the last few weeks, with a couple of sisters dying now and then, I think she would have actually, for example, today, taken the time to use their bodies to further study the genetics and the physicality of sisters. So she would have started using the bodies as, like, in a way of like, oh well, they already dead, might as well use them to their full potential.
Yeah, and you're not actually like trying to experiment on them.
No.
You're just trying to learn more about the makeup.
And also, she doesn't have any, I see it as she doesn't have any Astartes genes or whatever, so
No.
she can't do any of that sort. But, well, I feel like the Magos had like a pretty good idea of like the Astartes side of things and was trying to figure out the sisters side, where she is now focusing on first figuring out the sisters side. Yeah.
And the one thing I will point out is inside the notes and the research are occasional audio files. Essentially, while he's working, he will dictate and record his thoughts and his things. One of which stands out enough to you that I will essentially give you the details of what he says, which is
there is potential to this. These sisters are strong of mind and are only let down by the weakness of their flesh. Their zeal, their will, betrayed by bodies that fail them. If I can find the key, if I can combine the strength of will and loyalty of the Sororitas with the strength and body of the Astartes, we may be able to create a perfect soldier. A warrior able to shoulder the burden that comes from being an angel of the Emperor, without breaking or falling. It is possible. I just need to keep adjusting the techniques until it takes, and sooner or later, it will work.
I think especially today, that sort of hits for Helestri because it's the exact thought she had today, whereas, oh, the sisters are very strong of will, but their bodies are failing them. She, like, I feel like she's more and more disassociating the research with the Magos himself and trying to justify it that way, where also in her mind it's like, if she could just word this the right way, if she could just find the right people who would see the value in this, maybe it wouldn't be seen as wrong. Maybe it would be, maybe there's a way she could mask this as some sort of a hospitaller found solution, or just as long as nobody finds out why that it has to do with the stars and stuff, as long as she can convince other hospitallers that this is just normal stuff for them, that this is like a new solution, a new medicine, a new way of improving the sisters, maybe there's a way she can sell this without it being seen as heresy. And I think that's the you could say the sneakiest part about what she's doing is she's trying to convince herself by saying, like, if I do it like this, they might not, whatever happened to the Magos might not happen again. Like, he was foolish in leaving his research out in the open, in documenting his research dishonestly. It's what got him caught in the end. It's what got him and the Inquisitor caught in the end, is because they were so open with it. Nobody else needs to know the truth as long as it's in your own head.
Yeah. I'm not sure how that will be received, but
It's, hey, we are not at the point where she would even remotely want to try that. But it's something that's like playing in her head as she's working on documenting new stuff that she found out about the sisters and stuff. It's something that pops up in her head and is a viable enough option for her that she might consider it in the future. But for now, she's just gonna keep this to herself and do what she can.
Yeah. Thank God Helestri can't see the judgmental comments that are suddenly flying up in the chat.
It's just a little heresy, baby.
Just a little heresy. Speaking of, as we fade away from the lab, the night continues into day. The war, the battle, continues. At multiple points, Helestri, you see to the wounded. We have, lost limbs, gunshot wounds, all kinds of like explosive damage and shrapnel damage. Yes.
I will point out because Kat made a note of it this episode. She will like briefly report to Seraph, but it's about what's happening in the hospital, a hospitaller section, right? So it's like I don't know how interested Seraph is in all of that, because basically the only thing she can tell her is like, yeah, we're getting them back up. Some of them are dying, but not that many. Yay.
Yeah.
I guess at least like the thing that would be noticeable is that like Helestri does look really tired. Like more so throughout the weeks, but she would at least do an effort to report to Rose. But it would be Medicaid stuff, so.
Okay. But yes. Shrapnel wounds and, all the standard stuff. I would say, you know what? This may need to be a roll, and I do also need to ask, Canoness Commander, are you... what level of participation are you taking in the battles currently? The main reason I ask at this point is because you clearly have a goal that goes past this current battle.
Mm-hmm.
So...
she's probably not inserted herself into the battles very much at this point.
Okay.
I was gonna say, which Canoness commander are you talking to?
Whoa.
I would
Wow.
Dang, you haven't been promoted just yet, okay?
Imagine if Helestri were to come to Rose to report and she would say like Sister Superior, and Seraph would go like, Canoness Commander in training, thank you.
I would assume that you are not Canoness Commander until after.
Until everyone leaves, like she's I was just joking.
Fair. That makes sense. So
Canoness commander says I'm in charge now, while she's away.
Hasn't happened yet, so.
So my role requirement then would be specifically scholar for the dialogus. You aren't specifically required to lead squads. Question would be, are you still going out onto the wall and leading the defense or leading squads at times, or are you taking...
Oh yeah. I still want to be in battle.
I figured so. I just had to...
Literally, unless the Canoness tells me, I am like getting ready to destroy that lab, and then like out on the battlefield, and then maybe sleeping, unless I have to talk to somebody. Because the battle is what fuels me more than anything.
Getting in a little fighting between talking, you know.
I gotta get my rage out somehow.
Whenever you need to take like a 15-minute break, instead of sitting down and grabbing something to drink, she just
I
goes
just
out,
go and shoot a
shoots
gun.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. In that case, the roll, we will start with Lilith. Halestri, I'm assuming you're not taking a prominent seat on the battlefield. Like, you're not on the wall or anything. You're mostly dealing with the clearance station, the aid station.
Yeah, I don't think it would be useful. I think it's more useful to have other hospitalers there because like essentially the things they can do on the battlefield are limited, and then once it gets more severe they get brought back in. So I think it's useful to stay inside.
If you were on a more like mobile battlefield, then it'd be worthwhile having you on the lines, but
Yeah.
essentially every wounded defender immediately gets brought to the aid station, so
Yeah.
not too much point having you up there. Just curious for the role. In that case, could I get a scholar roll from you, Dialogus?
Okay.
It's going to be a reasonably hard roll, so okay. I think that's enough. Yeah. Two successes, 3 successes there. You notice a trend over the next couple of days whereby when the forces of chaos attack, they seem to be leaving a fair number of forces back, which essentially the way they attack is a little bit strange as well. It seems to be essentially throwing a squad at a time. Well, not even really a squad, they're not that organized. Throwing kind of like a bunch of troops at the walls, and invariably the majority of them will die to either small arms fire or mortar light artillery fire before they get even like halfway or so.
They're not using their full force is what I'm noticing.
They're not using their full force, and you notice that there are small cadres of chaos troops that are just sitting behind the trench lines out of range of the majority of fire, in small kind of like groups and circles, and at specific points all along the all along the perimeter surrounding the cathedral fortress.
Okay.
Given your role, I don't think you're going to be able to actually have much of an understanding of what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
What you are able to have an understanding of is that they're doing something, they are up to something, and it's part of some plan, most likely.
Would I know to report that to Sister Rose or to Sister Minerva?
I would say you would know to report that. I'm going to leave it up to you to decide whether it is of extreme importance that you need to go directly to the commander, or whether it's something you feel should be knocked up the chain of command. If you would like a little help, I feel that Lilith is very much a chain of command person, just purely from being being
she
a
definitely
solid
is
soldier.
that.
But this may be an exception, depending on how bad her spidey sense is tingling.
I think she'd go to Sister Rose, knowing that Sister Rose is going to be taking over.
Okay.
I think that would be, instead of thinking about the Canoness in that sense of being like, the Canoness probably needs to know, and maybe I'll just mention, hey, I clocked something, I told Sister Rose. But I think she'd know to go to Sister Rose first.
Okay. Do we have a Sister Rose here currently?
I think she went to go get some hydration.
Oh, okay.
Sister Rose is using the bathroom right now, so Sister Lilith is standing outside the door,
Just like
waiting.
just like can't even tell, just standing there.
Okay.
I can go to the Canoness instead if we would like to for the story.
Sure.
And we'll loop in Sister Rose.
Canoness Commander, you have essentially the Dialogus comes to you, reports that she has seen this, and that. What would you say? Like, is that like? Obviously, you'd tell her what's going on, but would you add any like insight yourself, or just basically be like?
Yeah, I probably would. Canoness, after being on the battlefield for many different excursions, this does seem odd, untrustworthy.
Yes, I trust your judgment on this. What
I'm
is
not.
it? I was going to
sorry,
say,
Canoness.
what is it that you would like to do?
It's almost like a taunt. Sitting that far out of range and not testing our full capacities, waiting, having us use resources. I'm not sure if Sister Rose felt different, but I don't know if there's anything we can do without sacrificing the integrity of the convent or putting sisters in further harm or
Yes.
risking too much at our current predicament.
Yes, I see. I would like to also get Sister Rose's input on this.
I can go find her if you would like.
That would be good.
And I'll leave and come and find you. So to backtrack, we found out I did a little investigation on the wall, taking a look at things. There's some it seems like they're not giving us their full attack, their full force. They're kind of baiting. Not much organization, but we can see chaos troops kind of just sitting outside of the line of fire, like far enough away. And Sister Lilith clocked it as not a typical battlefield tactic. Is that right, Chibi? I think I explained all that.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be. Well, what I would say is they appear to be sending troops in enough to keep you occupied and keep the pressure on you.
But they're not sending their full
Yeah.
their full manpower.
No, and as time goes on, they are joined slowly by more bands turning up and coming in. Their numbers are growing it's possible that they're preparing. It's
They're
hard to
biding
say.
their time.
Yes.
An easy tactic. They await us to see if we make the first move, all while bolstering their troops.
I would say, additionally, with the couple of operations that you have pulled, you have diminished their abilities or their attempts to gain access to the cathedral grounds, get past the walls a few times at this point.
So, I would have informed you, but I also went to the Canoness, and
Yes.
the Canoness would like to speak with us on the current situation
Yes.
and would really like your input.
Yes,
Yes.
I'm trying to
Just a little.
decide what our next move would be then. If they want us to make the first move, don't necessarily think that is the best option.
I would have to agree, Canoness Commander. I say we bide our time and wait. We prepare for a big strike from any angle, whether it be below us or above as well. And we wait. Because what they start, we will finish.
I agree. I think this is our best option. This is good information that we have, knowing that they aren't sending their full force. And honestly, we are currently holding what they have quite well. We have lost some, but we are not overwhelmed. So knowing that we are capable at this current level, I think we can prepare ourselves for whatever is next. Their full 100%. We'll be ready for it. I think that's the best route then.
Okay. In that case, the day goes by. Occasional forays made by the enemy, and you all
Shut them down
shut them down, kill them
with the Emperor's iron will.
with the Emperor's.
And I do so in a flourish.
in
As
flourishes.
I look upon them on the wall, I stand and look down at them. For they are nothing more than the dirt under my boot. And then I flourish my cape. And turn around.
I was gonna add something to that, but I just can't. It's oh.
Yeah. That was quite good.
Beautiful.
I'm only following in my Canoness Commander's boots.
Until I am the Canoness Commander, and when
will
I
make her proud.
when I am Canoness Commander, I will flourish my cape with both hands.
But until that day, I will settle for one.
I am not so arrogant to double flourish before I become a commander.
Nonsense! That is only reserved for the Canoness Commander.
So, the night starts to fall, and this is something that I think all of you will be to some degree aware of, as even the intermittent fire slowly peters out. There is a degree of quiet that that settles over the battlefield as the sun goes down and darkness begins to settle over the battlefield. Not long after it has gotten completely, properly dark. Occasionally, there are flares that go up and everything. You are all in the positions you are currently in the office, in the on the walls, or even in the lab or in the aid station, aware of a voice that is projected out over the entire battlefield. It sounds kind of loudspeakery to a degree, and it very clearly comes from the forces of chaos outside. And it says,
"Brothers, now is the time. Now, tonight."
Can I shoot them?
A, they're too far away, and B, you're not sure exactly where the voice is coming from.
Okay.
Tonight is the night. We finally are ready to take the walls. We finally will see these damnable, pathetic worshippers of a corpse seen crushed beneath our boots. I ask you, brothers, now to move, to charge, and to claim lives in the name of Laxith, Skullclaimer.
And as he says that, the entirety of the kind of trenches a resounding like chanting of Laxith, 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 Laxith starts to like build and build. At this point, I'm assuming that you're all action stations, basically.
Yeah. Including Canoness Commander Minerva.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Sounds pretty serious.
the guard, even some PDF, are essentially, as this chant starts to build, there's klaxons, there's alarms, the massive amount of movement and spotlights and etc. kind of flaring up, getting prepared for an attack. And as the chanting dies, there's a half second of silence. And then some whistling as a few mortars start coming in, you know, exploding a little ways in front of the walls. Some, like, faraway fire starts to rattle off against the walls, whiz kind of over your heads. The accuracy is absolutely pathetic, but also bad. And the forces from the trenches, almost as one, kind of rise up and just start charging towards the walls. Essentially, I'm not sure what the current rules of engagement are. I kind of assume at this point it's just, if you see them and think you can hit them, just fucking fire. So unless you'd like to do the hold, fire kind of thing, then I can just assume that they've started firing. You know. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And the sisters start to open up. Lilith, Rose, even the Canoness commander pouring on fire. The heavy weapons start to open up, and a few of the sisters, a few of the guardsmen do take hits and go down, but the majority of the death appears to be on the side of the Chaos forces, as rank and rank of charging Chaos warriors, wildly firing their weapons. A lot of them, like, completely bare-chested and tattooed up, with just, like, cleavers and swords and things like that, are just charging at the wall and getting cut down.
Disgusting.
And as it proceeds, you start to notice that there is a slightly slow glow emanating from the floor around the apologies, around the walls, going out towards the trenches. As parts of the no man's land in between start to glow a very light, faint red, and start to move in lines in a pattern connecting up to the circular trench line that is around your base. And I would say at this point, most likely it will probably hit Dialogus Lilith first. They weren't digging tunnels to get under your... they weren't digging tunnels to get under your walls. They were digging tunnels to create a magical circle around your base.
What?
And as the forces of chaos start to fall, you see thin trickles of blood floating up from the bodies and into the air, and start to all traverse in one direction to the front, away towards the trenches. As the light starts to build, starts to expand, you see a figure who seems to be around about probably like 7-8 foot tall, fully bare-chested, with lots of like ports and stuff in his body, but very muscled, very large, surrounded by a group of people who appear to be chanting and praising and etc. As the blood, this big pool of blood, like formed from all the dead chaos forces, slowly traverses over to him, and this kind of like glowing red ball of blood like forms above his head and slowly keeps expanding until eventually it slowly like drops down and like goes over his head and then starts to like go across his body. As it does, it spreads out from behind him into these like long blood dripping wings, and he seems to expand and grow, his legs going more into like hooves, the wings like slowly solidifying into these like red bat wings, probably this length of like a fighter jet plane, honestly, like massive wings. And you see, as the glow of the blood starts to diminish, you see a distinct like kind of orange red glow extend from one of his hands as a giant like almost molten magma sword starts to form and ignite, little flames kind of rippling up and down it.
That's not heresy. That's an OSHA violation.
So I'm going to allow a roll here, specifically because you are sisters, and one of you or some of you might know this. I think the most likely people would be either the Canoness Commander or the Dialogus. Scholar, it'll be a fairly difficult roll, but the possibility is there that you'll know immediately what this is.
Investigation?
Investigation, but it will be harder.
What?
It'll be harder than Scholar. Scholar is really the thing you'll need here.
Oh man.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
3 successes, 2 sixes is pretty good. In that case, I will say, as the bloodthirster comes into being, it is greeted by chants of Laxith's Skullclaimer. this is not a name you know. However, for the Dialogus and for all of you as players, are you aware of what a bloodthirster is?
I just googled it.
A bloodthirster is essentially very similar in size, in nature, to the Balrog from Lord of the Rings.
I hate it.
Yes, yes.
Perfect.
What
Not looking good.
What I will say right now is, for all of you, essentially, regardless of anything else that happens, the walls are gonna fall. Like, there's not really much way in stopping this thing from breaching the walls and getting inside, which likely means that the forces of chaos will do the same. Which means that the preparations not yet complete for the transport for evacuation is essentially means like you're in a whole load of shit, and if you have anything that needs to be done, you may want to do like for example, you may want to get rid of that research before they manage to take it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, with that knowledge of seeing what it is and realizing what's going on, with hesitancy, with urgency, Sister Lilith has someone else in her squad step up and removes herself from the wall of the battlefield.
Head towards the lab.
And heads towards the lab.
Okay.
With whatever she can find, probably fire.
All right. In that case, as you are heading to do that, this bloodthirster, as it takes form, it steps forward and just casually steps into the trench, crushing a whole load of men, and over and slightly towards the gate. As it does, one of the artillery cannons fires a shell over. Kind of lands near it, like explodes, covers it in grit and dust and flame and fire, which clears, and it's just standing there completely unscathed. And it says,
I am Laxith Skullclaimer.
Ooh, he's cutting out.
Oh, I'm cutting out.
It's cutting out.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Zoom's compressing it.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I imagined a bloodthirster going, "Oh, I'm so sorry, you guys can hear me."
I'm sorry, you
speak
can
up.
understand me?
I'm sorry, you don't understand heresy.
Sorry, it must be some form of warp interference. Please hold.
Here's our hold music.
How's that? Is that better?
Yeah,
Much better.
Much better. Okay. And so he says, I am Laxith Skullclaimer, and I have come here to be amused.
Nice, dear.
With the cough and everything.
Honey, I just got here. It's really smoky where I get lots of fire. It really, really does hell, pardon the pun, on the lungs. Send me your best warrior, and I will crush them. Do not send your best warrior to me, and I will come in to get them.
and he like takes this giant like magma tipped sword and rams it into the floor, and it just like the ground cracks and breaks away, and little like sparks of like magma lava just kind of like fly out of the ground, and this kind of like just starts to like bubble up from the hole that he created and just kind of like slowly spread across the area a little bit, you know, not a whole load, but
We don't answer to you and your requests. Sisters, prepare. We're not sending a finest warrior. We're all finest warriors.
in that case, the sisters form. I will say at this point that the guardsmen and definitely the PDF are not in any hurry to form any type of... Like, none of them have fired at the thing, for a start. The majority of them are kind of standing there in dazed bemusement, to say the least. However, as the Canoness Commander, and I'm assuming her Sister Superior Rose, are forming the sisters up to do something about this demon that has turned up. At the same time...
Oh, no.
Sister Helestri, you have heard the sound of battle, not something usual for the evening, which is why you had taken the chance to head back down to the lab again to essentially go through the notes, go back over your theories and try and solidify your thought processes and you know, just really double check things. As you hear the essentially the servitors vague greeting to someone as the doors slide open, and Dialogus Advanced Lilith rushes into the lab.
I think she would stand and give a little salute because Lilith is higher in ranking. So I think she would stand. Also, did I hear the stuff from upstairs?
Vaguely, probably. Very little idea of exactly what happened.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Then she would stand up, click of the heels, and say, "Dialogos, how can I help you?"
Sister Helestri, why are you not with the other sisters?
Is something wrong? I was not on duty in the 8th.
Every sister
sector.
has been called to battle.
I am so sorry. I was dismissed. Is anything happening?
Yes. And you should be up there supporting the sisters, not down here.
Right away. Dialogus.
What are you doing down here, may I ask?
Further making sure that we document the stuff that we need, of course, as I already said.
I thought that was
May
all
I-
under
May I?
control.
It's most definitely not all on there yet. Dialogus, may I inquire a quick report of what is happening above before I go?
The chaos is here. In full force. Every sister is needed.
I thought we had already seen,
Not their full extent. They've been collecting forces and are clearly creating summoning
A
her,
demon. would-
a demon. And we are all needed to prepare.
Right away. And she will click heels once more and start
Gathering up her gear.
You should take everything that you will need.
Start gathering up her gear, and I think with a little beginning thought of like, if every I think there's a thought, and she will voice it as she's like gathering up her gear and like standing up and walking towards the door. She will pause for a second and turn as she just like passes Lilith and say, "Sister, I'm so sorry. If every sister is required upstairs, why are you here?"
I am here on direct orders from the Canoness. The lab is to be incinerated.
Are we afraid that the troops will get in here?
Oh, it is inevitable. If you were on the battlefield, you would see what we were up against.
Of course.
Where you were supposed to be when the call came out for everyone.
Of course. Do you surely think it is a good idea to destroy everything?
Oh, absolutely.
I will add as well, at this point, Helestri, you can see that not only has the Dialogus moved over to the consoles and started to access them, she is also carrying with her the data slate containing the downloaded research, presumably to destroy that as well.
We can't let heretic research stand. And we lost sisters to this. Precious lives of our sisters were lost. And we will stand very strong above.
All of this is said pretty much over her shoulder as she's hunched over the console, accessing the files needed to start the purge of the data.
So many lives were lost for this. All in vain. It was such a pity. It should not have happened like this. But surely you must also see that destroying is not the best way to go forward, right, sister?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question? Did you just ask what I believe you just asked? That this research that puts sisters' lives and heretical research is something that should continue forward or has a place?
Well, surely there's things we could learn from this as sisters.
Sister?
Surely we could
Helestri.
improve from this.
Sister Helestri, do you understand what you are saying?
I'm so sorry. I don't know what came into me. Dialogus. I think I will be going to the battlefield now.
Absolutely. And you will stop this thought this instant, and it does not continue.
Of course I will. Dialogus.
Or you will be the one on that engine. Do you understand?
Completely, Dialogus. I will not think about it anymore. I'm assuming the Dialogus turns back to do.
Oh yeah, she's like,
on the thing.
And
you're
then
dismissed. Not even another word. No click of the heels. Like no formal action from her. She is like,
yeah,
this has got to go.
Turns back around, starts entering the command prompt to start the purge, like face to the screen, bent over, getting ready, and then she raises her hand to hit enter.
The data slate is something separate, right? If she were to delete the stuff that's on the data on the console,
data slate would still
be there, right?
I've kept the data slate so that when we go after the Inquisitor, we do have evidence.
Yeah.
But I'm clearing this and the like research lab, and the fact that there was my goal is the fact that there was a lab doesn't. It's just like, oh, it's a crater now. It's like something happened here. You can't tell anything.
And the fact that they're likely to gain access here and evacuation currently is still a little ways off, means that I would guess you're probably going to destroy the data slate too, because it's looking basically very unlikely.
I don't know if Lilith would destroy the data slate, as she was informed that she's going up on the ship and she needs that information.
Well, what I'm saying is essentially like the arrival of a bloodthirster means that it's unlikely you're going to get to the point of evacuating the planet. Unless they can manage to take the bloodthirster out, which is unlikely, to say the least.
Okay. But I'm assuming that right now she will make sure that the lab is destroyed first, and then she might have to destroy the data slate later.
Yeah, that seems.
But I've brought the
likely.
I've brought the data slate. It's kind of always on me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't trust. It's just always on me. So, you know and you are one of the three of us that know that the information, is being guarded and protected.
I think Alestri will take like a few steps, see the Dialogus, push the commands to destroy everything that's out there still in the lab and stuff. And as she pushes that button, as she does that, she takes 2 hurried, quick steps towards Sister Lilith, takes out a surgical knife from her pocket, and puts it in her back.
And the knife slides into your back. You feel it essentially sap the majority of your strength. And
Sister Alestri.
I am so sorry it had to be this way, Dialogus. I simply cannot allow you to destroy everything, I believe. The Emperor would stop me otherwise, surely.
Or you become a heretic.
Only if the Emperor abandons me.
I would say at that point you feel your legs give out and you like fall onto the floor, kind of like semi-awkwardly, kind of over the console as things start to like hiss and sizzle, and the purging of data begins.
I think even before, like, the hard part about this is before she even dies completely, because Alestri knows where to stab so that it's quick.
Yeah.
But even before she dies completely, Lilith would feel Helestri just going down and taking the data slate from her.
Yeah. And you essentially fall and you roll over slightly to see Helestri standing there over you with the data slate in her hand, looking down at you. As you feel the pooling of blood underneath you and a slow fading of consciousness.
You will find judgment, sister. If it's not from me, it will be from Minerva when she finds out this treachery of your actions. And then when you come to the gates of death, I will be standing waiting for you. Be ready.
And the light fades from Lilith's eyes as slowly watching her die, the camera fades on Helestri. And we'll end there for today.
Damn.
Time to get out my clown nose and
Cold-blooded.
Literally stabbed in the back.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sheriff Rose, besides Helestri committing such heresy, would be so proud that she's become such a lethal killer.
Well, sisters. What a conundrum we have gotten ourselves into.
Indeed.
Apologies for the bloodthirster. It was,
That thing looks terrifying.
Yeah, no, it's a thing. It's a thing.
So who's gonna battle it, huh?
Drop
Not
a
you.
church on it.
Come on, Rose. 1v1 it.
The answer to everything is let's just drop a church on it.
Yeah?
Why don't we have one? Why didn't they find it in their budget to, give us a walking church?
Yeah.
Or
Like
a walking
for-
Hey.
fortress? Come on now.
Like, if you could have greenlit the proposition given by the Magos, but you said no.
I ain't.
I
We
imagine.
ain't taking his
Get that
charity.
guy. Yeah.
I imagine all of the in the beginning you said that there are sisters who were holding banners specifically to boost morale. I imagine all of the sisters holding banners now go forward like a marching team and start praising to boost morale and going towards the bloodthirster.
I was wondering if any of you would be like, oh, that guy there who's doing the speech and having people chant around him, kill that guy Laxith. And I was gonna be like, that's not Laxith. Laxith is on his way.
I loved Kat going within the first sentence you said, I shoot him.
Can I?
Yeah, yeah.
Evil monologue? Nah.
No.
No monologue
At
for
first,
you.
at first, I was just like, "Can I shoot him? No. Okay. Can I put my I will make an announcement. Daughters of the Emperor of Light. Hear me?
But yes.
Their salvation. We will purge them with fire.
So, we have had a couple of super chats. If anyone, I'm just wondering whether anyone would be like, quick super chat. Damn, Helestri, traitor.
Everyone was expecting it. It's
Yeah.
fine.
So I will go through the super chats. We have one from Blind Watchman, which says, to the cast, ladies. Did I introduce your characters wrong? Basically saying, am I wrong though?
No, absolutely not.
was-
I am a tea loving leader.
It was a definite cool
I love the heresy sniffing dog so much that I'll keep it with me from now on, which is one more episode, but it's something.
I mean, hey, it's a shame you didn't fall to Korn, because he has literal, like, hellhounds, basically.
True.
But it's fine. Zinch has birds. They're cool. If you want to see the other options, feel free to do a quick Google for the Changer of Ways, is it Plague Bearer? No, it's the... I can't remember the Nurgle one. I may need Peachy to help me out on that.
Peachy does love Nurgle.
Yeah. And the Herald of Slaanesh, I believe it is. They're all horrific. The Changer of Ways is literally a two-headed blue vulture bird, basically. Birdman, basically. It's
Yeah,
really
Zinch is weird.
cool.
The difference between it's weird, sheepy. Oh, it's really cool.
Hey, I
Oh.
am a 40k GM. It is my duty to worship Zinch. Like, there is no other option. But yes, I was tempted. Like, Zinch is so much fun, but Korn just makes so much sense. And also all the bloodshed and everything, like, you know.
Yeah.
Get
sense.
a cheeky little bloodthirster in. Yes, so Damned Man also gave us a super chat. Thanks, Damned Man. Hello, Canoness Galatiya. Brackets Miss Magitech. Inquisitor Damned Man here.
Wait, Magitech is Canoness Commander Minerva.
My last name is
Minerva Galatiya.
Yeah.
Oh, I was like, huh?
Well, Minerva's easier to say than Glacier, so we quite
Yes.
often end up saying Minerva.
I was thinking. I was thinking of Sister Superior Jedagora.
Ah.
Jedagora.
Yes, Inquisitor Damned here. Being in charge, how much of the current situation do you blame yourself for?
Ooh, yeah, that's a tough one. I think that there is some guilt that Minerva feels for this. Like, this happened under her watch. When you're a leader, it's hard to not feel some sort of like guilt or responsibility, or but I think overall, no, this couldn't have been fully stopped, because it was an inquisitor who, they have a lot of power, but they're also slimy bitches. So, you know what? It's the last time I trust one of them slimy bitches. As you can hear the bitterness in my tone. I do not like inquisitors. I really don't.
Yeah.
You know what? Inquisitors are just as bad as tech priests.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Omnissiah be damned. Okay. We don't need them.
Omnissiah, my foot up there.
We don't need their
hard drive.
Yes, we do. We don't need them to build us weapons.
We don't need that. Yes, please. I need more bullets.
Oh, I wasn't talking about you.
Talk about you.
I would say my own personal take, as biased as it may be, the Canoness couldn't really have done much more to stop the current situation. I'd say the only way she could really blame herself, like, legitimately, would be the trust she put in the Inquisitor, which is understandable.
Have a nice day.
Yeah. So before we hit the last super chat, I just, for those of you who are interested in the cast, I threw in the other greater demons in the Discord chat for you to peruse if you would like. The Nurgle one is legitimately horrific. Zinch is just cool. Is a bird. And Slaanesh generally needs just a big sensor bar over it. Because it's Slaanesh.
Yep.
Lots of piercings.
I love
Oh, there's some really cool Slaanesh art out there that is borderline pornographic, but still cool.
But it's so cool.
Finally, we have another super chat from Inquisitor Damned Man, but aimed at someone else. Hello, Hospitaler Helestri, brackets Syrinx. Inquisitor Damned Man here. Have you considered some knowledge might be dangerous just by knowing it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Look at what happened to Dialogus Lilith.
Right? She slipped and fell on a scalpel.
Knowledge is so dangerous by just
So
knowing
dangerous,
it, right? Like, it's so dangerous. Oh my god.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, that was very cool.
That was very cool that my favorite sister got stabbed in the back and she became limp and then died. Not super slowly or painfully.
Helestri wasn't your favorite sister?
Oh, what the hell?
No, she wasn't her favorite sister. In fact, she was her protege.
Oh.
Oh, Iz, you can say Iz. You don't know anything.
Oh yeah, that's true. And also, is that kind of like that has vague Skywalker vibes to me. I feel like, you know.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so
Kind of, except, you know, like she's I guess I would be Obi-Wan.
yeah.
You know.
So
and then,
next episode.
the Emperor chose you.
Next episode, as Helestri's like dragging the bloody corpse of Lilith like through the lab, and Sister Rose just like wanders in and just goes, "Hello there."
I have brought peace,
What is happening here? Is this
Freedom.
heresy?
justice, and security to my new empire. Your new empire.
And then
Don't make me go through the whole thing.
and then Helestri just turns around and goes, "From my perspective, the sisters are evil."
Oh my gosh. Oh, if we go down that road,
Yeah.
it's gonna get ugly.
Additionally, very many thanks also to Insane Snogger for the super chat that just came in. No question or anything with it, just a lovely little contribution to the war fund. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your contribution.
Now get in line, soldier.
Towards the Emperor
The emperor
and the convent.
protects.
Get in line, soldier. We're charging a bloodthirster.
Yeah,
We
we're gonna
appreciate
need it.
your contribution greatly. And it will be remembered and recorded in the library of contributions. That I think it's like over there or something.
The data slate of contributions.
The David Slade of contributions. Praise be the Emperor. Follow his light. Now get in line, soldier.
I feel the distinct possibility that next episode my patron requested intro will be, do your intro but as a demon whose microphone isn't working properly. I just have to be like, hello.
That's literally what you sounded like.
Is this thing on? Is this thing on? Hello?
It was like so.
It's just like, oh, 1 second. I
What-
can't
what-
hear it. The demon saying, 1 second.
Just 1 second. Just,
Oh, no,
Just hold on.
it's
Hold on.
popping
Hold
my
on.
throat.
Hold on. It's yeah. No. Is this thing working? Hello. 1, 2, 3. She shells down by the seashore.
But let us, I was going to say convene. Let us have our final thoughts, little outros, and then we'll head off for the night. I believe as the betrayed, as the killed, and as the well-meaning Dialogus Advance, I will say, Elbel and Celestra Lilith, you really didn't learn anything from what the Commissar told you, did you? When he said, people in extreme circumstances can surprise us.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. Yeah. Hi.
Hello.
I have many thoughts and many feelings, and they will all process over the next couple days, but I am betrayed and dead. I think that, like, Lilith's probably sad that she didn't finish her final task then. Like,
Yeah.
she didn't actually get to complete her task, so she's going into the light with like unfinished business and now major revenge. And she will be waiting for Helestri. There's no question. And it will come soon, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I'm Elbel. You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all the places. I have ADHD and so does my content. We jump around a lot. We do a lot of different things. My TikTok content goes towards ADHD, and there will be YouTube stuff eventually.
Oh yeah.
Eventually. But it was an honor to be on another Sheepy show. And this cast is fantastic and incredible. And it's a wonderful way to like end off my show here, but start Women's History Month with some incredible women to get to RP with. And it was just an honor, and it makes my heart all full, and I liked getting introduced to 40K.
With that in mind, I feel like having a strong independent woman stabbing another strong independent woman in the back sends a little bit of the wrong message, but
maybe not how I went out, but you know,
yeah, yeah, given that, I regret that very slightly. I don't. It was so cool. I don't regret it at all.
It was great storytelling. I think that's the fun part about RP is you kind of like, you get to see where things go, and you get to go with the stories that really fit the character, and you just get to explore. And because I don't think when Searing started this that they were like, I'm gonna start with like Heresy.
Yeah. That is something that we all saw
develop
as time went on.
But on that note, let's go over to my stab you in the back murderer, Syrinx.
Oh, sheesh. Oh, shucks.
There's a final scene for Helestri where she just, after she's stabbed Lilith, she just takes a second and like goes, I was the heresy all along.
I made the joke where I said like Helestri can sniff out heresy, so she knows how to mask her own scent now. But yeah, just to be clear to people, Elle and I discussed this, and she was perfectly fine with having her character killed off. It was all planned. We don't do random PC murder over here,
Correct.
please. But yeah, it was fun. It was very intense. Like, God, not Lilith going and like, do you hear yourself? Or did I hear what I thought I heard? And then just being, no, you didn't. Yeah, we'll see what next episode, the final one, will bring. But it has been an honor to be your heresy sniffing dog, Helestri. Heresy sniffing or sniffing like heresy. I'm Syrinx. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram as such. I like to roleplay around the internet, so check me out there. And I'll hop it over to Kat, who made the best one-liners this session.
Yes,
like, by
100%.
far, she was on fire.
Do carry on. I'm sorry, I need to be right back.
I'm Sister Sarah Rose, and I am a worshiper of the Emperor and his light, and I hate chaos. Why did that sound like I was a part of a, I don't know, DA group or something? Anyways.
Hi, Kat.
Hi, Kat. Anyways, wow, this episode was great. Except for, my sister dying. And to the hands of another sister, which is like the worst nightmare ever. I'm excited, but also sad for the next episode because that's like our last one, I think. Right?
Yep.
I do love playing with each and every one of these ladies here. So please make sure that you follow them. You can find me on Twitter, which is I'm Cat, or on Twitch, which is I'm Cat. I'm currently on a hiatus for streaming at the moment, but I am working hard with my art stuff. So you can find a way to contact me in commissions for different kinds of stuff, profile pictures, emotes, that kind of stuff. I believe Shibi has the email down in the description, so yeah, I appreciate it. And I'm gonna give the potato over to my Canoness commander, my favorite sister, not biased at all, Minerva.
Thank you, Sister Superior. Soon to be Canoness Commander at the end of this. Hi, everybody. I'm Tracy, also known as Miss Magitech or Magi RPG. It was, yes, I realized it was great to have you, Sister Lilith. You were so close to escaping. Because I was like, why don't you come with me? And meanwhile, it's like, well, shit, then she died.
An extra seat on the shuttle, though.
There was, this
Oh,
is true.
someone needs to fill that in with all of the knowledge.
Yeah.
I know. Honestly, logically, like, it makes sense because Minerva also knows that Halestri, like, learned a lot about that, about all of that. You know what? That's a problem for next week. So we'll have.
Oh yeah.
We'll have to figure it out. Who's coming with the 10 slots that we have? Who's gonna be filling those 10 slots? But yeah, so you can find me at twitch.tv/MagiRPG, where I do a lot of tabletop stuff throughout the week. I'm also a budding and new and excited 40K fan. I'm going to be at Adepticon in a couple of weeks, which is a big wargaming Warhammer event in Chicago area here in the US. So that'll be exciting. I'll just share my latest that I put together. I'm doing a whole batch of sororitas. So this is the Sister Superior. So this is our Sister Superior Rose. So there she is, ready with her sword and her, I don't know what gun this is.
I would not advise you to paint them in the colors of the Order of Pure Intent, as that paint scheme would be horrific. And
yes,
yeah, no, it would be torture.
We need our own logo if we wanted to, so I could put them on little transfers, so I could put them on the sisters. Because they have a whole bunch of transfers with like all of the different orders, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But that would be cool to do a Pure Intent one.
I mean, you've seen the color scheme, right?
Oh yes, I did. And you...
white and black, like mirrored to each other, is not fun for painting middies.
Yeah, but that's me and what I got going on. So I will pass it to last but not least, Sheepy.
Thank you. Although I feel like least is an argument that could be made. Yeah. Seeing as we've gone fairly over time, I won't do too much time. I'll just say, go check out the Patreon, please. Consider pledging. There's some cool stuff coming for it. I'm trying to do a little bit extra content. I just did a tier list of Discworld books. And the tier list goes from, I've read it a couple of times, I like it, to I will never stop reading it, and has like, I read it 10 plus times, I read it 5. I've read the Discworld books way too much, and there's no tier listing, there's just how many times I've read it. I love all of them. But yes, if you want stuff like that, go check out the Patreon. Thank you for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed. We have the finale next week, and coming up soon in the next couple of weeks after that will be Berserker, which will be interesting, let's say that. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you later, and we'll see you next week.